Hey guys, Justin here from 420 Consulting. We are here with a very special episode of Follow Up Friday. We're here with my good friend Rishi Sharma, who I've known for over 20 years. We went to high school, at separate schools, but we hung around together through high school. And he's running for the MLA position for Sandwich South. Now, we don't usually like to get into the political game here, but I think I really want to encourage people to vote. It's not, for me, it's not so much about the party, it's more about the candidate and whoever's driving the story of that I want to see, and that is craft cannabis from BC on the global shelves around the globe. And I think it's really important for you to look at the candidates in your riding and find out who's the best one for you and the best one for your situation. For me, it's Rishi all day long because I know the man's character. I know what he gives back to this community already, and I know that he understands the challenges that we're facing. We've had lots of conversations about, the challenges that the industry is facing, what things we can do to kind of welcome in the illicit partners, the illicit stakeholders into this global goal of to have BC craft cannabis on the shelves. So, Rishi, I know you're super busy, and I'm really grateful that you've taken some time to hang out with me for a bit here today and talk to our listeners about, kind of what your vision is and what your, I know a lot of people in government, I don't think they really understand the full picture of the challenges that we're facing, and I'm glad that you and I have had to have a little bit of dialogue about that. Right?
Yeah, thanks for the education. First, I gotta know, Justin and I, we've dealt with a lot of adversity in our lives. And I'm so proud. I get emotional just like that. There's something wrong with you. Just seeing you and what you've accomplished and what you've done, and your support for me is huge.
Thanks.
I'm so proud of you, man.
Yeah, I'm proud of you, man. Look at you.
And your wife and your kids. They were friends. They've done some Indian dancing together. So yeah, and Justin and I have been in some precarious situations and some great situations.
Yeah, and that's how you grow, right?
That's how you grow and you learn. Right?
Yeah, exactly.
There's a lot of talk about diversity. There's a lot of talk about equity. There's a lot of talk about inclusion nowadays.
Yeah.
And there is a prejudice towards your industry.
100%.
And there's a perception of your industry which needs to be removed.
Correct.
Because right now, particularly going through COVID, and the expenditures going out the door, like if you can imagine, we were in a $200 million surplus just months ago.
Right.
For British Columbia in our budget. We're now in a $13 billion deficit.
Right.
With any of these platforms going forward from any of the parties, we'll be looking at a $20 billion deficit.
Right.
So how dare we not look at ways to build our resources?
And like we were talking about, man,
our economy.
Like cannabis is what oil and gas to BC as what oil and gas is to Alberta.
To Alberta.
Alberta, right? Like, and why is Alberta leading the charge? Why does Alberta have like 2-to-1 retail stores of what we have right now?
Yeah,
why does Alberta have, if not more micro cultivation licenses than we have, at least it's even, right? And it shouldn't even be that way. We need to be at the forefront. And I think what we can do in terms of the provincial government plays a very critical role.
Absolutely.
They're not the federally, they're not Health Canada, so they can influence, but they can't really change that process. They're not in the municipalities. They can influence, but they can't really change that either. But that's what we want to have people like you step up and kind of influence change.
I'll give you a story from years back. There's this thing called the carbon tax.
Right.
British Columbia was the jurisdiction to introduce a carbon tax. World leading policy. There were people in our party at that time, and I worked for the Minister of Climate Change, Climate Action at that time.
Yeah.
There were people in our party who were saying, well, climate change doesn't exist. Why are we doing a carbon tax? Why do we care about climate action? So I would have to go to all these MLAs with the minister, give them presentations on why we want to move forward on environmental sustainability. And so this is another thing where people have this particular perceptions. Why do we want to do that?
Right.
I'd love to be that individual to work with you and work with with your industry to say, let's get a presentation forward. Let's go to these MLAs. Let's go to these candidates and say, this is why it's so important. The money we're looking at, it's legal.
Right.
We need to move this forward.
Destigmatize this.
Yeah,
why is it so challenging for us to get a bank account? Why is it so challenging for people in our industry to get properly zoned land? Why can't we access business development funding? All these sorts of things. But
there's brilliant minds involved. We need to let the juices flow. Let's come up with these ideas. Work with the secretariat involved with the provincial government.
Yep.
I'm happy to be that liaison to have these conversations to make a move. Because I know I have 3 children.
Yeah.
You have kids. It's not getting more affordable. It's getting less affordable to live. But we need areas where we can actually bring some economic recovery in, bring some money in, And for heaven's sakes, you live in Saanich South.
Yeah.
I'm in Saanich South.
Right.
Like shit. Oh, sorry.
It's okay. It's okay. We swear on the show. Okay.
Okay. Sorry.
It's all good.
It's something I'm passionate about. Like we need to bring this economic, all these businesses into our land. Sure, we want to open up a film studio. Fair enough. I helped open up a whiskey distillery.
Yeah.
We got some funding from the federal government, some innovation funding, because they're brewing in an innovative capacity.
Yeah.
So we went to the federal government. I wrote a letter on behalf of the provincial government. We got some funding for them. We should be doing the same for
of course you should.
agro
Agrotech is the buzzword of the day,
Agrotech.
right?
And
cannabis is all about agrotech.
Let's not cement over any ALR land that we have.
No. Hell no. Nobody wants to do that.
Yeah, there's commercial buildings we can use right now to start growing, and let's be a world leader when it comes to growing.
Let's do it, man. Let's do it. So, Rishi Sharma, Saanich South, make sure you vote. Just vote. Find out your candidate in your riding and just vote. And we'll see you next week on Follow Up Friday.
Yeah, vote Rishi.